You know that feeling when the holidays are finally over? The decorations are coming down, the house is quiet again, and you're just starting to exhale. You think you've survived the chaos.
The January hangover, but not the alcohol kind, just that emotional exhaustion.
Exactly. You're ready for things to go back to normal. But for some families, right in that window, maybe it was New Year's Eve, or just a random Tuesday during the break, the phone rings. And suddenly, normal is gone.
It's the call no parent ever wants to get. Your child has been arrested. And what we're talking about today isn't just the arrest itself. It's that specific, terrifying gap between the incident and the reality setting in. Because the shock wears off, but the panic usually gets replaced by questions that are actually much heavier.
Right. And we aren't talking about a little kid getting a timeout. We are focusing on that really tricky age group today, the teenagers. Specifically, the ones hovering right on the edge of adulthood. Maybe they are 16 or 17.
The grey zone. That is the most dangerous place to be in the legal system.
That's what I want to dig into. Because I think most parents assume, well, he's 17, he's a minor, it's juvenile court, it's a slap on the wrist. But looking at the reality in states like Florida, that assumption can be dangerous, can't it?
Extremely dangerous. It's actually one of the first pitfalls parents stumble into. There is this belief that age is a magical shield. You think, my kid is under 18, so they are safe from the real system. But the law sees it very differently. In Florida, depending on the charge and the history, a prosecutor can decide to charge a 17-year-old as an adult.
Wait, so it's not automatic? It's a decision made by a prosecutor?
Often, yes. It's discretionary. That means the decisions made in the first 24 to 72 hours, how the family reacts, what the child says, whether they make bail can actually influence whether that case stays in the juvenile system or gets bumped up to adult court. And once you're in adult court, the game changes completely. The records, the penalties, the long-term impact, it all scales up.
That is terrifying. It feels like the system is moving in slow motion on the outside, but behind the scenes, it's sprinting.
That's a perfect way to put it. To the parent, sitting by the phone or waiting at the detention center, it feels like an eternity, but legally, the clock is racing. Prosecutors are reviewing files, police reports are being filed, and the path is being paved right then and there.
So let's walk through this. Let's say I'm that parent. The fog is just clearing. I'm scared. My instinct, my absolute gut instinct is to rush in, hug my kid, and tell them, just tell the police the truth. Explain what happened. If it was an accident, just say so.
And that is the single biggest mistake you can make.
Really? Just telling them to be honest?
It sounds counterintuitive, right? We raise our kids to tell the truth. But in a criminal investigation, explaining is often just confessing.
Oof.
You have to understand the power dynamic. Your child is scared. They want to go home. The police might say, look, just tell us your side of the story so we can clear this up. And as a parent, you want to believe that. You want to believe it's a misunderstanding, but anything they say, even if they are trying to be helpful, even if they are technically innocent of the main charge, can be twisted or used to lock them into a version of events that hurts them later.
So silence isn't about hiding guilt.
No, silence is about protection. It's about pausing the tape until you have someone who actually knows the rules of the game, a lawyer looking at the board. You wouldn't let your child perform surgery on themselves, right? You shouldn't let them perform their own legal defense in a police interrogation room either.
That makes sense. It's just hard to fight that parental urge to fix it immediately.
It's incredibly hard, but you have to pivot from parent mode to strategy mode. The first concern is obviously safety. Is the child okay? Do they have their medication? Are they in a safe holding area? That's priority 1. But priority 2 is shut it down. No statements without an attorney, period.
Okay, so we've established the don'ts. Don't talk. Don't let them talk. What about the DOS? Because sitting on your hands feels impossible when your kid is in a cell.
There is actually a lot of active work to be done. It's just not the work people think. First, you need to gather intelligence. Where exactly are they being held? What are the charges?
Just the facts.
Exactly. Get the paperwork. You need to find out about the bond. In Florida, especially for older minors, there's usually a first appearance hearing within 24 hours. you need to know when that is. You need to know if there's a no contact order.
What's that?
Let's say the arrest was because of a fight at a party or maybe a dispute with a girlfriend or boyfriend. The court might say, you are released on bond, but you cannot go near this person. If your kid sends one text message, one Snapchat, just to say, I'm sorry, boom. Bond revoked. Back in jail.
Wow. And that's something a teenager would absolutely do without thinking.
Within 5 minutes of getting their phone back. Exactly. So as a parent, your job isn't to argue the case on Facebook. That's another big one, by the way.
Oh, social media.
Stay off it. Do not post about the injustice. Do not post, my kid didn't do it. Do not let your kid post about it. Prosecutors look at social media. Police look at social media. A photo of your kid holding a red Solo cup from 3 weeks ago can suddenly become evidence of a pattern of behavior.
It feels like everything is under a microscope suddenly.
It is. And that's why early guidance matters so much. You mentioned earlier that grey area of being 17. The decisions made right now determine if this becomes a life lesson or a life sentence.
Let's talk about that long-term view. Because when you're in the middle of it, you're just thinking about getting them out of the building. But what are the actual stakes here? Let's say they get charged. Does this follow them forever?
It can. And this is where the it's just a prank or kids being kids mentality fails. If a teenager is adjudicated as an adult, or even if they have a serious juvenile record, we are talking about college applications.
The dreaded checkbox. Have you ever been arrested?
Right. And it's not just college. It's scholarships like Bright Futures in Florida, it's federal financial aid, it's housing. A lot of apartment complexes do background checks now. If you have a violent offense or a drug trafficking charge on your record from when you were 17, that door closes.
So it's not just about avoiding jail time. It's about preserving options.
Precisely. It's about damage containment. A good legal strategy isn't always about a dramatic, not guilty verdict in a movie-style trial. Sometimes it's about negotiating a diversion program. It's about convincing the prosecutor to keep it in juvenile court so the record can be sealed later. It's about making sure that one bad night doesn't disqualify a kid from the workforce 10 years from now.
That's a really powerful distinction. It's not about getting away with it. It's about ensuring the punishment fits the person, not just the crime.
And recognizing that the person is still forming. Their brain isn't even fully developed yet. The legal system is rigid, but good advocacy can introduce nuance. It can show the court this is a good kid who made a bad choice rather than this is a criminal. But you can't make that argument if you've already confessed to everything and missed your court date.
Speaking of missing court dates, I saw that in the notes. Is that common?
More common than you'd think. People get overwhelmed. They lose the paper. They think, oh, I hired a lawyer, I don't need to go. No. Unless your lawyer explicitly tells you that you are waived from appearing, you show up early, dressed well, and ready to wait. Missing a court date issues a warrant. Now, you're not just fighting the original charge, you're fighting the system itself.
It's like quicksand. The more you panic and thrash around without a plan, the deeper you sink.
That's the perfect analogy, and that's why the wait-and-see approach is the worst strategy. I hear parents say, well, let's just wait and see what the police do. By the time you see, the concrete has dried.
You need to be proactive.
Aggressively proactive, but quietly. You don't make noise in public, you make moves legally. You gather character letters, you get school records showing they have a 3.5 gigapascals. You show the context of their life.
It really highlights why you need someone who knows the terrain. Like, you wouldn't try to navigate a jungle without a guide, especially if there are landmines.
And especially if the person you love most in the world is the one walking through it. You know, experienced attorneys, people who have been doing this for decades, maybe former prosecutors who know how the other side thinks they see this every January.
The post-holiday rush.
Yeah, good kids, good families, bad situations, and the difference between the families who come out the other side okay and the ones who don't, it's rarely about who has the most money or who is the smartest. It's about who followed the instructions in those first 72 hours, who stayed calm, who stayed quiet, and who got help immediately.
It's a sobering topic, but I think it's one that gives people a lot of power back, because that feeling of helplessness is the worst part.
Absolutely. Panic paralyzes you. Action liberates you. Even if the situation is bad, knowing, okay, here are my 3 steps for today, changes the psychology. It goes from a disaster to a problem to be solved.
A problem to be solved. I like that. It reminds us that the story isn't over just because the handcuffs went on.
Not at all. In many ways, the story is just starting, and as a parent, you have a massive role in writing the next chapter. It's not about erasing what happened, you can't do that, but you can absolutely define what happens next.
A heavy topic, but a necessary one. If you're listening to this and you're in that boat right now, take a breath. You aren't the first, and you won't be the last. But don't try to be the hero who fixes it alone.
Right. Get the map, get the guide, and protect that future. It's still there, waiting to be saved.
Thanks for breaking this down with us today. It's the kind of advice you hope you never need, but you're so glad you have it if you do.
Anytime. Stay safe out there.